Alright, I'm almost ready to make a trip to the scrapyard with this stuff for the Airco. Stuff that I'm not going to save. This is, so far, this is what I've got for the smaller diameter wiring that I'm not going to bother stripping. And I really don't have enough out of this welder to make it worthwhile to even scrap that. So I'm going to throw that in one of my buckets. I got a big bucket over there, and I'll take that at a later date because I kind of want to just get a really good idea how much money I actually got out of just stuff for the welder. So we'll be short a little bit because this little bit of copper wire won't be in there, but that's probably, maybe I'm going to end up being a couple pounds here, give or take. Now some of the heavier gauge wire I've already gone through the trouble of taking the insulation off because it was fairly easy to remove. So I've got this copper braided wire here. Those are copper lugs on the end, so I didn't even bother taking those off. Even have the copper straps in here. So now I gotta take care of this. So I'm gonna cut the steel off of this with the plasma cutter, and I'm gonna take some more of those heavier cables and strip them. Alright, so I've gotten that big steel piece off the top. Now I want to get the transformers at least as a unit off of that metal base, or I might even toy with the idea of separating the sections, because the way this is put together, I mean, for starters, it looks like I can cut there, and there on both sides and remove this whole unit. But I also noticed that this whole block of transformer core right here is only attached to the other transformer cores via these windings. So if I cut through these windings, I can actually separate this from this, and more importantly, I can unwrap all of this copper right here and throw this in my bucket with the cleaner copper stripped wire, and get more value for it at the scrapyard that way. A little bit of dry grass burning underneath there, but not like it's going to go anywhere. I've got a hose on standby behind me just in case, but I'd really prefer not to wet the ground down if I can avoid it while I'm working over here. Oh, that did move. I believe that side is separated. Well, it's later this afternoon, and I had some things I had to go do, and that actually worked out fine because then I was able to let the battery recharge for the camera. This is a better camera. The only thing you missed when the camera shut off is I finished cutting off that metal frame, and I finished cutting this part separate, so now these transformers can be pulled out as a unit. I tried cutting these copper windings right here. You can see I was able to do it, but it was pretty tricky because I kept losing the ground, because the problem, of course, is, you know, I hooked onto the winding, but as I would cut the wires, I would lose ground, so it made it kind of tough. And then even though I cut through that whole thing, it's actually still pretty attached through some sort of, I don't know what this deal is here, but there's a lot more going on here than I really want to deal with. So I'm not going to bother taking this off. I'm going to take this as a unit and bring it to the scrapyard just the way it is, and see what I can get for it. At least this way, though, when they're deciding what it's worth, they'll be able to see that right in there, that's a nice copper winding. There's a lot of copper on there, and of course this is all copper. So anyways, I think I'm going to hook up the chain and lift this up off of here and put it in the back of the pickup truck so I can take it to the scrapyard tomorrow. Well, the transformer's loaded on the truck, ready to go to the scrapyard tomorrow, and I was just down here this evening and spent about 15 minutes and shaved off all of the insulation from all that copper wire. So now I've got some more to add to that bucket outside, and I should have several pounds of nice clean copper. Alright, this is the morning we're going to head off to the scrapyard and see what we can get. I added last night's work that I stripped to the bucket here, so I can't really tell, but I don't know, I think I might have 15 pounds there, maybe even a little more. Bare copper wire stripped. There's one little transformer I got to still load in, and I got to take that one off and load that, and I got the big one already on the truck, and then we'll get on the road. Well, I'm on the road, but I just pulled over to make a couple more calls because I had called some scrap yards yesterday, and I needed to call some back because I had to talk to certain contact people. A couple of the scrap yards said right off the bat they won't take transformers, but I realized that what they're worried about is they're worried about people hauling in like the older utility transformers and industrial transformers. Many of those are oil filled, and if they're old, some of those oil filled ones contain PCBs, so it's considered toxic waste. But in this particular case, we're not dealing with that. So when I stipulated that, no, we're talking about there's no oil in it, it's a copper wound steel core. At that point, one yard told me I'd have to bring it in. I'd have to bring it in so they could take a look at it. And another yard told me I needed to call back when another guy was there and able to get a price from him. And that guy, I just talked to him, and he said they would treat it like an electric motor. Now, the interesting thing is, the yard that said they wanted to take a look at it, they're paying 20 cents a pound for scrap motors right now. The yard that just told me that they would take it as electric motor, he said, how much does it weigh? I said, well, I needed a front-end loader to put it on my truck. It's got to be over 200 pounds. He said, all right, yeah, something like that. He said it would be 15 cents a pound. So I think they're only paying 15 cents a pound for electric motors right now, and the other yard's paying a little bit more. One of the yards I called in the city, which is interesting because oftentimes when you get in the heart of the city, the prices are a little higher. They said it's only they'd only give 10 cents a pound. That's a big difference. That 5 cents per pound, when you're talking about something that's several hundred pounds, is going to make a big difference. So, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go to the one yard that, you know, is going to look at it and give me a quote, or go with the sure thing at 15 cents a pound. Well, it should be a sure thing based on what that guy said. I think I might roll the dice and go with the other yard, because if the other yard, you know, says 15 cents a pound, I'm break even. If they say 20 cents a pound, I'm even better off. And if they say 10 cents a pound, I'll just walk. Alright, we're here. Kind of doubt they're going to let me film in here. But I'll roll the camera for a bit, just so we can get a peek. Maybe we can see the dinosaur working. There's a huge crusher over there. It's an excavator with a really long arm and a claw on it. That's pretty cool. Well, it was 441 pounds. We took it off already, though. Yeah. Alright, so there's my slip. Basically what happened is they treat that as ballast. Now, ballast transformers typically are sealed like light transformers are typically sealed metal cans that they have to bust open to get to the copper. So I was hoping that I was going to get more money, but he said it's still coated copper and enamel wire on there. So make a long story short, when I asked, well, what are you paying for ballast? He said 15 cents a pound. I says, well, that's actually what the other place was going to pay me for scrap motor price, so it's going to work out to be the same. So I took their offer, and we had 441 pounds of transformers at 15 cents a pound, $66.15. And the blue bucket full of bare copper wire I had in there, there was only 8 pounds in there at $2.70 a pound. It's $21.60. And the copper wire, giving me a grand total of 88. That guy was just walking by and he noticed that I had removed the tailgate to get the transformer off the truck, and lo and behold, I would have probably driven away forgetting that it was leaning up against the tire. Could possibly run over it, or worse yet, drive away, we're leaving it on the ground and come back to find out they threw it in the scrap pile. Anyways, so 88 bucks is a good deal, I think. Paid 100 for it. Of course, there's the value of my labor I put into it, but let's not forget, I've still got all of that welding lead and the extra foot pedal and the extra water-cooled torch, TIG torch, the stinger, all that stuff. Those are all pretty much, now at this point I'm out 12 bucks plus my time.